Hi friends, let's do another weather word for Tuesday, October 12th, 2021. Going straight into the weather, we're going to talk about the front making its way through the plains. A lot of attention, again, it sounds like in Oklahoma, saying storms, storms, storms. Let's look at that a little more detail and see what really is worth worrying about and what's not. I don't think it's such a concerning day today, but we'll talk about what could happen and what probably will happen. Anyways, looking at the weather map in general across the country, you see that low spinning up, getting active into Colorado this afternoon right now as I speak. The previous low that brought the storms across the plains, it's up into Michigan. Honestly, the storms weren't as active as they seemed like they were going to be. They were a little too cluttered. Not much became isolated. There was one storm that became isolated basically the whole time Sunday in Oklahoma. It was a supercell, but its RFD was a little too strong, and so it didn't really become the tornado producer it could have. What kept its RFD from being a little less, I don't know. The factors were there. There was moisture, there was heat, there was shear. It's just maybe, I think what it was is the low level winds were just too weak. They were from the southeast, but they were like 10 miles an hour. So maybe it just couldn't hold together at the low levels. It kind of kept cycling instead of becoming this long organized rotation area. And so really not a lot of tornadoes, a bit of damage around Anadarko, and then quite a few embedded things within the squall line as it pushed up to the northeast, up towards Tulsa and into Arkansas. But overall, you'll see a lot of tornado reports. The news is, oh, tornadoes, bunch of severe weather. In terms of what it could have been, in terms of what it really was, it wasn't that significant compared to what it looked like. Now today you see that low is there spinning, it's getting its act together, it's developing. The previous low, like I said, off Michigan, also got that low that's been kind of meandering for about the last week between Florida and now up to the Carolinas in the tropic. It's a warm core low, but it's not organized enough to be a true tropical system like a tropical depression or anything like that. But it's been hanging out around there. Pretty much that's it for the picture. Next low is just in the northwest. That's not going to be much. As we look towards the map tonight first, you'll see that low gaining strength in the plains, got all the different features, the red warm front, the orange dry line, the blue cold front. Other than that, that previous low fading away, just about done. And then the next low itself not going to be a big factor, but it is for now bringing a decent cold front into the Pacific Northwest. Now, let's talk about the storm potential in the plains. I know a lot of people it seems like more people have asked me about today than asked me about 2 days ago. I guess maybe after 2 days ago, everybody started getting really a lot of attention, but it seems like maybe there's being a lot of push of like, this is going to be another big day. There's just another big day. It seems like the news always does that. Every day is a bad day. Every day is going to be a big day. Honestly, to me, this doesn't look as organized. You never know. I mean, you hate that. The day that looks like nothing ends up being the more organized day. And yeah, there's different factors tonight. Now, there's three different things. First of all, this afternoon, there's some rain, some thunderstorms. They're nothing. They're elevated, they're warm advection rain and storms, so you see them across a lot of the region. Some cloudiness, which also helps limit things, is positive, but I don't think you'll see any tornado warnings, not much in the way of severe thunderstorm warnings. There's really no issues to the daytime storms, and that's where the system's kind of different than a lot of systems you'll see. A lot of times, this stuff will come in the morning, the elevated junction, we often call it, and then it'll clear out and become organized late afternoon. Now, what you can see is, well, let's jump ahead to tonight, late overnight. I'm talking really late. Like the models now are pointing like 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m. I mean, we're talking deep into the night. That's when the cold front comes, builds a squall line. That's when the low keeps pushing northeast, and so the front starts to slide through into the state of Oklahoma. It doesn't look like much at all to me. It hasn't for days. This is what I've been saying. It's late. There's decent shear to help rotation, but it really, to me, all the models so far hint that the storms will be a bit elevated because they'll start to cool down at night, and so they'll be focused above the lower layers, and so the risk of rotation shouldn't be much at all. Looking at what the models show for in terms of storms, I think this main line of storms probably, we'll see. I mean, I'm just giving you what I see. I don't see a lot to it. Now, looking at tonight, there is one other factor that really has never been in the picture until now. One of the models is hinting maybe the dry line out ahead of the cold front there'll be enough clearing and enough to focus convergence late evening, kind of like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, to pop one or two isolated storms in southwestern or maybe western Oklahoma. Now, most models don't show that. When they do, they generally kind of stay to western Oklahoma. They probably don't make it to the I-35 corridor. They don't make it to Oklahoma City, Norman, maybe somewhere like Chickasha. It doesn't look like a lot of storms, and we'll see what the shear profiles are, if they're organized enough to be rotating too much yet. Honestly, because it's so far ahead of the system, it may well not be quite as much, but they're isolated, and that's always what you look for most in severe weather, is if a big thunderstorm can develop kind of by itself, that's the ones that can rotate if there's enough winds to make it happen. And it's I wouldn't say it's a very small chance. Like I said, one model shows it. Really nothing that I've seen before now has shown it at all, but it's something I've always been looking at. The dry line's kind of that overlooked factor. Everybody's talking about the main line of storms late at night. I really think that's going to be no big deal. We'll see. But usually at night they tend to weaken, and just the way the system is, the whole point is the low, we'll look at the map in a second, it's not sweeping across the country like a lot of these strong storm systems do, especially in the spring. Even in the fall, it's departing, kind of like the last one did, but even more so. It's lifting to the northeast instead of pushing sharply across the country. And so the push of the front, the energy for the storms will start to fade as the night goes on. And so I think in particular, the factors just aren't there for much in the way of severe weather tonight. Look, I don't mean to limit it. I just want to say, hey, calm, no fear. There may be a few severe warnings. I'd say there's a pretty good chance of that. Could there be a tornado warning or two in the overnight storms? It's possible. I doubt it. I maybe one, maybe two, but I wouldn't expect much. Less than the other night, hopefully. That's what I'm seeing. With these storms late evening tonight, if they get going, if one or two or three more isolated storms get going, they have more of a chance of seeing some tornado warnings. It'll be over a very limited area, kind of more limited than the storms the other day. There was only one supercell the other day, but it cut a long path, and then there were other storms around it. This would be one storm, probably not moving quite as quickly, not covering as much area, but maybe getting some more. I mean, it's possible that you get a track of tornado warnings, 2 or 3 in a row, and it gets organized for a few hours in kind of a focused area in like western or southwestern or even northwestern, maybe those parts of Oklahoma. But I don't see it crushing across the state. It's not going to be like the other night where it starts down by Altus, sweeps up to Oklahoma City or Norman. I know it was rough in Norman, and then it becomes a bed in a squall line, but keeps causing issues up across the state. I see one or 2 or 3 storms. I see them weakening later because the dry line will be fading, and they won't have a sharp lift from like a cold front. The cold front's later. It's so far back. It's going to be real late. The afternoon storms, not seeing any tornado warnings really or any issues. You never know. Warnings come up, but I would be shocked if there was anything significant out of this afternoon storms. So looking at the map for tomorrow, like I said, the main low is now up. It's not sweeping east. I mean, they often lift to the northeast, but this is it's just out of here. It's going to Canada. It's up in North Dakota. It goes from Colorado to Nebraska tonight, into North Dakota tomorrow. And you see, it's becoming this kind of chaotic or complex pattern. There's a front sweeping east, strong system there, but it kind of lingers in Oklahoma, and actually another little low develops. I don't think there's too much chance of severe weather in the next few days, but actually you can't totally rule it out. Again, another factor that's missing in the system now compared to the one a couple days ago, there's not as much moisture, there's not as much temperature generally, so like heating, so it's not as much energy in general. And this next low, I haven't heard anything about it from anybody or seen any mention of it. We'll see what happens, what comes together from it, because the main upper winds and such are shifting up into up north, I wouldn't think too much of it. But you know, it's more of a fact. I'd say it's as much of a factor as today as the squall line tonight, because again, this squall line tonight, the front doesn't keep going. Usually these systems, the front, you look tomorrow, the front should be in like the southeast, but it's not. It's still in Oklahoma tomorrow because it comes and it fades and redevelops back to the west. We may not see any storms tonight. They may well fade before they get to Oklahoma, Tulsa, places like that. We'll see. But another low tomorrow, and then you see that next low, mentioned it coming in off the Pacific Northwest. It's there, it's starting to fade, but it's got a decent front with it, and that'll be the real factor from the system. It's not another big organized low or another big deep development like we've had for the last week or so, but just a front kind of cruising in to help reinforce, and that's kind of the message. Now, as we look towards Thursday, what kind of happens is that front is sweeping in from California area, kind of merges up with the low pressure in Oklahoma. It's not so much that it merges up and becomes this dominant system. In fact, you see the low itself is fading. It's just that it kind of brings that reinforcement of cool air. And so I think we're going to get a decent fall feel for a few areas in the next few days. The main low way up in Canada, the front even kind of fading away across the Great Lakes, still a bit there, but it's exiting the picture. And then there's that low that's just hanging out in the Atlantic, nothing to it, and not going to be an issue for anybody that it looks like. And by Friday, really the whole picture is kind of congealed into one kind of focused picture. The low all the way up Hudson Bay area almost, although it's occluded, but the main front sweeping down across the country, decent cool air. Now, will this make it to Florida? It looks like it's going to really sweep south and east, get to kind of like the Florida border, and maybe kind of run out of gas. There's fair hopes still that there's a few more systems like these in the next couple weeks. Maybe the high may build back in, warm things up, but over the long run, I think there's still a pretty fair chance that we get a few more lows in the next couple weeks that have some oomph to them, like this one has had, this pair. And the last one, like I said, this is going to be more of a strong low week, a little more active in the weather, and it has been, and it's going to keep being, but it looks like the next few lows won't be as organized as this one has been and the last one was. And so I think it's going to quiet a little, but not before that cold air pushes east. It gets enough oomph that a lot of places in the mid-Atlantic and south central US get some decent cool air. It feels a little more like fall than maybe it has all year. And then does it make Florida? Probably not. Maybe not. We'll see. It all depends, as usual, on the lows out in the Atlantic, and does this storm off of Carolina form anything, or do any of the other weak lows down in the Caribbean form anything, or near the Greater Antilles, near Puerto Rico. There's lows just kind of around, and maybe one or two of them strengthen. Some, no indications of anything urgent, like of major concern in the tropics. I don't see anything anywhere, so you could be very at peace with any of that. Nothing to highlight or pay any attention to. But which of those lows build a little more affects where the fronts go in the next couple weeks. And unfortunately, none of the fronts aren't looking as much like they're just going to push all the way through the east clearly. So it's a little less of a solid picture on what's going to happen in terms of cool air and how much it's going to make. And so hopefully the TV's not talking, oh, it's going to be cool next week or rainy next week. It's going to be hard to tell for a lot of places. But I still have hopes that we're going to shift a little more to fall in the next couple weeks as the fronts kind of, each one kind of comes in with a little oomph. There's the occasional lows. I think next week, the week after, maybe there'll be a couple more organized lows. Hopefully a little less moisture in place, so not the storms we've had this week. But it's changing, whereas the last 3 weeks or so, the lows have been pretty benign, pretty feckless, pretty energyless, not move things along. And the fronts, we've been talking backdoor cold fronts from New York, and it's kind of a weird pattern. We're a little more like a normal fall pattern, or fail, if that's what you think. There's always a little pause and a little deep breath here, but talking about the word, I'll be honest with you. I wasn't sure I was going to do this again today or yesterday or this week. I gave everything I had to doing the weather updates Sunday, and it didn't go, honestly, to me that well. There weren't a lot of people who paid attention. I mean, my friends, I'm glad for those of you who watch and pay attention. And I had one or two people come in who I didn't know in the past. So, hey, there is something positive there. And I mean, at some point I have to decide, do I want to advertise this? Is this really what I'm doing? But it's hard doing the TV things, and maybe there's other things I want to do more, but it was really demoralizing doing the weather updates. And am I really doing something that people need and makes a difference? And I'll be honest, it's lonely, it's tough. People just keep saying, keep trying to be better, keep seeking after God and going after him, and there's not a lot of like hope in my life, practical hope, current hope, hope that things are getting better. It's still, I'm still having to come to grips with all that's happened, all the things that were lost over the last couple years, and then my dad passing away, and so it's hard. I wish I had support. I wish I had people. Everybody says the most frustrating thing, and I'm trying to be honest because I'm hoping there's other people who feel these same feelings. I mean, it's tough. It's like, do you want to give away kind of your heart to people you don't know, or just kind of put it out there to everybody to hear? And it's kind of like this balance. Like, I don't want to give everything out, but all the same, I'm trying to be honest and real through these messages. And there's just this feeling like everybody says, hey, you can be something, Shane. You're worth something. But nobody's in my life. Nobody wants to be there. Nobody at this current time, and I mean, there's hopes down the road, but there's nothing right now that says, I believe in you to the point that I'm hitching my wagon to yours. I'm involved in your life. I want more than just what you can do for me, but I want to be a part of your days and nights. I want to share life with you. So it's frustrating. It hurts. And all the same, maybe these messages are helping some people, but I don't see active day-to-day, like, man, I can point to that person and say, look how much I changed their life. But I mean, I'll be honest, I was really depressed, really down. I made some bad choices. I was just hurting, and I just wanted to give up. And I guess I was on the bus last night, and I was just, I'm not going to do this. That's it. I'm done. And I was reminded, look, you said a month. I said to God, look, I'm going to try this again, and I'm going to do it for a month, and I'm going to stick with it. Because the last 2 times I've done this WeatherWord, it's been kind of all over the place and very inconsistent. Did I do it 2, 3, 4, 5 days a week? You just couldn't expect anything. And I've been pretty consistent on 3 days a week. I shifted it a day this week because I'm traveling and because I got been busy with the other weather stuff. But 3 days a week, that's the plan. And I'm trying to stick to that, but it was like, I can't do this anymore. But if I said I'm going to give God a month, I have to give him that, and I have to give my all, even when I can't. I don't want to anymore. So if you feel like that, if you feel like I don't have any more to give, know that I feel the same way. And somewhere along the way, God kind of lifted my spirit. He reminded, I went by some places on the bus, and it just brought back some memories. I'd kind of forgotten a few places and said, oh, that special things happened there. And it reminded me of the past when everything was down and there was just no hope a few years ago. When it was just no way. That's when God just does things. And he doesn't follow a pattern, a plan. He's not the God you expect. And I saw somebody last night post a message that said, you can rely on God because you don't have to wait for God like you have to wait for man. God opens the heavens. He comes down when he chooses to. It's not like man where you have to just sit around and wait and hope somebody else acts. God moves in an instant. And he's a lot more reliable than people are, despite the tough times. So I'm trying to remember those times where God I was done. And I really was done. I didn't have any new extra energy. And I had given up on myself. I was broken. I was not a good person. I was in a mess. I didn't see any good out of me anymore in my life. And then God said, no, look at this. And sure enough, God changed everything, and just on time to to prepare the future and to bring things into line that my dad would be saved and to be there at the right, I have to trust in God's timing. I've seen God's timing work things out where they had to work it the way they did. And so I don't understand why things have happened. I don't understand why it's so tough and lonely and things aren't making progress. But I trusted God with a month or more, and I've got to stick to that. And so I'm going to keep doing this for now. And the word, I don't know if you watched any of the broadcasts the other night. I know that's the other part. I know how many people watch these things. I know there's a few at best usually. And so that's demoralizing. It's like, well, I thought maybe I'd have more people showing up. I thought maybe doing the broadcast on Sunday, that would be the big turning point. And it didn't really turn out to be that way. So it's like, what's next? And am I really making a difference if 3 people are tuning in and maybe one person watches it for more than a minute? I mean, you get the feeling like, am I doing this too much? But if I'm not doing it enough, I don't know. I wish I had more wisdom in my life of my own and people to really offer wise wisdom and show things like, I don't know if you guys know what it's like. I hope you do, where when there's messages from God that, like in a church, online, in your brain, you'll suddenly think of something, and God put it there, where just like, it's manna from God. It's like, wow, I understand something suddenly I didn't. And it's not maybe the answer to all your questions or all your needs, but it just shows, wow, that's huge. Wow, what a brilliant piece of understanding. And I need more of that in my life right now. I love those people. I've only known 1 or 2 people like that who are able to bring you things, and they just say something kind of ordinary and they're not intending it to be earth-shattering, and it's just, wow, dude, deep, like, truth in that. And when we're younger, I think we all think a lot of people are like that, but as we get older, we realize a lot of those people who kind of talk hippie-ish things and stuff like that, they really don't say a lot. I'm getting invaded by lawnmowers. I'm moving out of the way because they're mowing the lawn where I'm standing. Well, that was unexpected. Anyways, I wanted to read you guys quickly from the Word, because the one thing the other night, Psalms. I had some Psalms I talked over as the storms were going on to try to encourage people. That's what God had led me to. Psalm 24, Psalm 28. Today, Psalm 27 kind of spoke at me when I was really struggling last night and this morning. God said, read that and see a few verses. And so I'm just going to say a few verses. And it's David. The Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear? The Lord is my strength and my life, of whom shall I be afraid? He's in a tough time, and a lot of the things don't connect with where I'm at right now. Though a host should camp against me, I don't have a lot of enemies camping against me, at least not that I know of, not people. Though we fight against flesh and blood, we fight against principalities and powers of darkness, not flesh and blood. So there have been, because technology continues to be an issue and everything just keeps standing against me, but I'm trying to hold in there. I'm not a great person, but the Lord is, Jesus is. He has life when we don't, and He wants to keep showing us. It's just, you're done, and then God says, no, you're not done. Let's go again. And I'm trying. But the few verses that really kind of woke me up. One thing have I desired of the Lord, that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord and to inquire in His temple. And honestly, right as I was saying that a minute ago about I know this microphone, I'm trying out a new microphone, hoping that I know I'm going to work on some tricks to keep it out of the wind, but I didn't have a chance yet. So sorry if it's real windy sounding. But even as I was speaking a minute ago, just really, I hadn't thought about it before, but God revealing all the deep messages out of the Word, like those understanding, nuggets of understanding, that's what I missed. And there's that verse, I thought about that, where the one thing I will desire is the Lord, the beauty of the Lord, to inquire in His temple, to see God. For in the time of trouble he shall hide me in his pavilion. In the secret of his tabernacle shall he hide me. He shall set me up upon a rock. Going down further, these are the words of my heart. I might have said them before, but I don't know, because it kind of jumps from chapter to chapter each night. But hear, O God, when I cry with my voice. Have mercy also upon me, and answer me. When thou saidst, seek my face, my heart said unto thee, thy face, Lord, will I seek. And that's the thing. I think we all say we're going to seek after God. I want more of God, like logically. But when does our heart say, God, I need more of you? And man, my heart is saying that right now. You are my answer. Yeah, there's other things in life that are missing that I need. But there's also, but God is what when you're close with God, when you see God's things, it just kind of fills everything. Hide not thy face far from me. Put not thy servant away in anger. And this is David, the man after God's own heart. And he's saying these things, and that means he's feeling these ways. Thou hast been my help. Leave me not, neither forsake me. And how much that harkens back, as I think about it, to Deuteronomy 31:8 that says, and the Lord thy God shall be... See, I don't know these all off the top of my head either, especially when I haven't thought about them in a little while. And the Lord thy God, he shall be with thee. He will neither leave thee nor forsake thee. Fear not, neither be thou dismayed. And so here's David saying, God, leave me not, neither forsake me. He's saying exactly what that verse says. And he's saying, I need you to do this. You have to come through, O God of my salvation. When my father and my mother forsake me, then the Lord will take me up. And that spoke back when I read it a few minutes ago again. I said, like, look, when you're absolutely at your worst, when it seems like there is no good, when it seems like there is no victory, when everything is broken in you, outside of you, and there's nothing going on, like it was in the summer of 2019 for me. When your mother and father forsake you, I mean, that is like the ultimate. Everything is gone. If you can't rely on family, who can you rely on? Everything has broken for you. Everything, you don't trust anymore. There's nothing left. Then the Lord will take me up, not just help me, but he's going to lift me out of that situation, because I can't. That's the whole point. Everything is failed. My strength has failed. Then God will be there. Teach me thy way, O Lord, and lead me in the plain path because of mine enemies. Deliver me not unto the will of mine enemies, the devil and people who want to do you wrong. For false witnesses are risen against me, and such as breathe out cruelty. I had fainted unless I had believed to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Amen. I know, I mean, personally, yes. And then that verse, this was a special verse to me a long time ago, and it still is. Wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thine heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. And I see wait as in hang on. Wait, he's coming. When everything absolutely is wrong. And he didn't say my father and mother have forsaken me. He says when they do, then you'll lift me up. So he's saying it's probably going to get worse. It may get worse yet. And I look, last night there was no thought of, man, this is going to get even worse. It was just, that was the worst. It was broken. It was empty. I was so depressed, so heartbroken. And it's so hard to keep going when there's not things changing and all the things you cared about are broken and gone and missing. But what are we going to do? Be of good courage. That's what. He shall strengthen your heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. So it's a wait as in give him time, be patient, wait for a while, keep waiting, like you wait for a train. And it's also wait upon the Lord as in I don't know which one the Hebrew wording actually is emphasizing, but waiting upon, especially biblically, is kind of serving and being there for and giving into, going to it. And that's, again, I didn't want to do this anymore. And it's like, God, said I gave you a month. If I quit after 3 weeks, then I haven't given you a month. I haven't done what I was convicted to do. And that wasn't just a month, it was a month or more, and it's probably going to be a lot more. I hope it is. I don't know. I was done last night. I was ready to move on with everything. I was just so heartbroken. And because it didn't go well 2 nights ago. I'm hoping to be available for weather stuff tonight. I'm not at home because I'm getting ready to travel. So I can't be on camera, but I'll have all the laptops and stuff trying to give information. Hopefully that'll be really helpful tonight. I'm gonna do my best. I may go on live and do audio and radar. It looked like it went okay, just the internet's horrible. And I'm at my mom's. I don't think her internet's, I think it's actually worse. So that's gonna be a real challenge. If I'm gonna do this, I gotta have internet. Like, technology just keeps battling it. But you wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities and rulers of darkness of this world. Hang in there. I'm encouraging you because I know I'm encouraging myself when I say that. I say, I gotta hang in there. Wait on the Lord. Be of good courage. Wait, I say, on the Lord. He will come through. Lord, I need to see you. When all is the most broken, everything's down, I'm no good, I can't do this, I'm failing and everything else is failing me, I'm lonely. David knew. The apostles knew. Joseph knew. We know. He knows. God, please be our strength tonight. Help us through another day. And that's the whole point. We need a personal God. We need God personally in our lives. And that's the whole point why it's so beautiful when he just blows you away with revelation and nuggets of understanding. It's something personal. It's something that hits where you are. It hits maybe in a situation that happened. And I love God, how he keeps doing things that you know he's doing it. I used to believe in coincidences, or I think, oh, that's kind of neat. But man, God just, when he's close in your life, it's just one coincidence after another, and he just answers and themes, and I still believe that's the God we're looking for, and that's the God who does answer. You I desire, God. God, be our strength tonight. If I can pray for you for anything, let me know. Please pray for me. Keep believing. Give me advice. Tell me what I need. Let's look for God together. Be doers and not just hearers. Love passionately, because it's what we're made to be, lovers. And trust God. And I'm saying that as much to myself as I am to you guys. I pray you have a good next few days, that the weather's pretty reasonable. I'm hopeful it's gonna be. It doesn't look too concerning to me. We'll see. And we'll get through it one day at a time by the grace of God. Love you guys. God loves you. Have a good day.